If I said fumbles are going to cost Justin Fields the Steelers' starting job, is that right or wrong?
That's wrong. Look, I remember, I believe it was 2 years ago, Justin Fields playing against the San Francisco 49ers in a monsoon in Chicago. I don't recall in that game him having any quarterback center exchange issues in a monsoon. This is something that's correctable and teachable. Why do we always look with this guy in particular, and we do this to certain quarterbacks, there's always something that we're trying to hang on these certain players and say, well, this is why this guy sucks. This is why this guy shouldn't start. See, look, he can't get the center quarterback exchange ironed out. That's why Russell Wilson should be the starter. Mike Tomlin knows better than that. If he's not the starter this year, it isn't going to be because of what happened week one as far as the quarterback center exchange. I promise you that. There'll be more detailed reasons as to why he does. So can we just look, I'm not saying, look, however we came up with the question, I'm not saying that I'm not saying this is us. I'm saying in general that this guy takes more crap from people as far as them constantly trying to blow holes in his game to where now they're sitting there going, and I've seen some of the discourse on this. This is why he shouldn't start. This is why Russ should start.
But
I mean, to me, it's annoying that we pinpoint certain people to hang this kind of stuff on.
1,000%. Which to me, won't cost Justin the job, but this is what we all know. Ball security is very important in the NFL at this position. I think Justin he's in the tsunami of just criticism.
Right.
Any little thing, now we look at him and say, well,
what I'm saying
is
is
not
this.
fair. I agree with you. It's not fair. But if you have limited time because you don't have pole position, every miscue hurts you.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't mean it's going to cost him the starting job. It just doesn't help.
I'm just going to say, so I agree with you because look, I've been in these situations where when you're not in pole position and you make an error.
Yeah.
That the guy who is in pole position can make the same error, but your error is magnified times 1,000. You're going, well, damn, wait a minute. I just did the same thing this guy did, and you're making it seem like I might get cut. I've been personally in those situations. So I get it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's ridiculous to blow this out of proportion.
1,000%.
The snapping part of it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Mike T, let me come to you on first of all, anyone who has ever listened to me knows I'm an unabashed Justin Fields fan and supporter. I would love nothing more than for him to have the successful career that I've been forecasting for him for years. That said, the knock on him has been the negative plays. So when you have 2 fumbles and you have 2 sacks in your preseason opener, those are the problem. That's exactly what people always point to. The other, and Bart Scott talked about this at length yesterday, is that he holds on to the ball too long. That he is back there, and one of the reasons that he takes all those sacks is because it takes too long for the ball to come out. Mike T, are those reasonable criticisms? Are they fair criticisms of a player who is now in his 4th year in the NFL?
Yes, and they're fixable. And he has a new offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith. And again, I think Justin Fields' skill set is tailor-made for this offense. So I agree with Lewis. The fumbles are what they are. Those are completely fixable. And as it talked about Bart Scott's issues, I would say, look, you can learn to go through your progressions faster, and that comes back to coaching. Like, read 1 to 2 and then take off, and run with the ball. So, Greeny, I think absolutely year 4, we should see progress. But again, I give the benefit of the doubt on the snaps, and I think what Arthur Smith can do with him in terms of moving the pocket, I really think at the end of the day, he's going to win this job. I think Mike Tomlin believes in him. And there's another X factor here. He's 10 years younger than Russell Wilson. So if we're talking about extending one of these 2 quarterbacks, because you don't want either quarterback to be a free agent at the end of the year, if it's close, I know pole position's one thing, but the benefit of the doubt to me should go to Justin Fields and his future.
See, every single sack, right, every single interception has its own individual story. We know this, right? We know this. But when we have this preconceived notion in our head of a guy either being a slow processor, he can't read coverages properly, we'll just blame it on him regardless. We'll watch a TV copy and go, get the ball out of your hands quicker. Where if we watched all 22, maybe no one's getting open. Maybe the reason he got sacked in maybe 2.5, 2.6 seconds is maybe the left guard got blown up. Maybe the left tackle missed the assignment, and he didn't have a chance to get the ball out of his hands. But you know what we're going to say about Justin Fields when we read the GSIS stat line? We're going to say, see, takes too many sacks, fumbled the football, turnover machine, can't start him, put Russell Wilson in there. We need to stop doing that kind of crap to these guys and look at it individually. Look, if he didn't get the ball out of his hands because he missed a read, that's one thing. And if that's the case and that's still happening, then Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith need to kind of like ferret that out and go, hey, look, you're going to have to sit because you're not doing it. And you have opportunities. But we can't just automatically look at him and go, he took 2 sacks in the game. See, that's what he did in Chicago. Did you watch the game? Did you see how they came about? Did you see the pressure he was under? There's always more to the story, and I think, but with some guys get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Justin gets none.
No one's talking about the amount of offenses he's been in since
Justin
different
gets none.
coaches, coordinators that he's had.
He gets none.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the record, the only quarterback who has taken more sacks in the NFL over the last 2
Russell Wilson.
Talk about
is
it.
Russell Wilson.
That's right. But with Russ, we'll say, see, the offensive line stinks. Pete didn't trade him right. Sean Payton was a jerk and should have showed him more respect. It's not you, Russ. It's everyone else, Russ. That's what we'll do with him. And this isn't personal between me and Russ. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that's what we do. We can choose our fights.
I'm not 100% sure Russell is someone everyone gives the benefit of the doubt to either,
well,
to be honest with you.
If I said Justin Fields' fumbles are going to cost him the Steelers' starting job, would I be right? No, that's wrong. Let's get this straight. We're talking about a guy who played against the San Francisco 49ers in a monsoon in Chicago 2 years ago. And I don't recall any issues with the quarterback center exchange in those conditions. So why are we suddenly acting like it's the end of the world because of 2 botched snaps in a preseason game? This is fixable, completely correctable. But we do this, don't we? We latch on to certain quarterbacks and every mistake becomes a reason to question their entire career. Why is it that with Justin Fields, every slip-up turns into a justification for why he doesn't deserve to start? Look, a bad center exchange isn't why Russell Wilson should get the job. Mike Tomlin knows that. If Fields isn't the starter this year, it won't be because of what happened in week 1. The quarterback center exchange issue? I promise you, that's not the real reason. It's frustrating, honestly. Fields takes so much heat more than most quarterbacks. I've seen the conversations, the narratives being spun, and it's always the same story. This is why Fields shouldn't start. This is why Wilson should. But come on, it's getting old. We can't keep pinpointing every little thing and hanging it on Fields like it's some definitive statement about his ability to lead this team. It's ridiculous. Now, let's talk about what we know ball security is crucial in the NFL. Sure, Fields had a couple of fumbles, but he's caught in a storm of criticism right now. Everything he does is magnified, scrutinized, torn apart. Yes, it's not fair. We all know it. But here's the harsh truth when you're not the guy in pole position. Every mistake you make is amplified 1,000 times. Every misstep hurts you. That doesn't mean it's going to cost him the job, but it doesn't help either. I've been there. I know what it's like when you're not in pole position and you make a mistake. It feels like the end of the world, even when the guy in pole position makes the same error and barely gets criticized. It's frustrating beyond belief. And in the grand scheme of things, it's absurd to blow this out of proportion. But that's the narrative, isn't it? We watch the game, we see Fields take 2 sacks, and immediately we say, see, that's what he did in Chicago, but did we actually watch the game? Did we see how those sacks came about? Did we see the pressure he was under? There's always more to the story. But Fields rarely gets the benefit of the doubt. Look, if Fields didn't get the ball out of his hands because he missed a read, that's one thing. And if that keeps happening, then yes, Tomlin and Arthur Smith need to address it. But we can't just automatically write him off because of a couple of sacks in a preseason game. There's always more context. Maybe the left guard got blown up. Maybe the left tackle missed his assignment. But you know what? We don't talk about that. We just look at Fields' stat line and say, turnover machine. Can't start. Put Wilson in. And let's be real, Justin Fields doesn't get any breaks. No one talks about the number of offensive systems he's had to adjust to, the coordinators he's had to work with. No one cuts him any slack. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson, who has taken more sacks than anyone else in the NFL over the past year, still gets the excuses. The offensive line stinks, they say. Pete Carroll didn't trade him right. Sean Payton didn't show him enough respect. It's always someone else's fault. But with Fields, it's all on him. Don't get me wrong. This isn't personal between me and Russ. I respect him as a quarterback, but it's frustrating to see the double standard. We choose who gets the benefit of the doubt, and more often than not, it's not Justin Fields. But here's the thing, this quarterback battle isn't over. Fields has the tools, the potential, and the time to prove himself. And if we stop nitpicking every little mistake, maybe we'll see what he's truly capable of.